up, guys? Me and Chris are down here hiking by the lake. It is our day off, and on my day off, my favorite thing to do is play poker. So I hopped on the phone app this morning, PPPOKER, and got stuck about 2,000 after losing about 2,000 last night. So needed to get out of the house for a bit. We came down here to take a hike, and Chris told me a hand that he played at 510, and we were reviewing it, and I thought it was a super interesting spot on the river. So decided he was going to review it for us on camera here. So go ahead and let us know, Chris.
All right, so 510 at WinStar, active recreational player, opens under the gun 2 to 35. I believe the low jack calls and the button calls. And I have pocket deuces in the small blind, and I call also. So the pot's like 150. The flop is queen 6 deuce 2 diamonds. So I flop bottom set, check the flop, pre-flop raiser bets 90, and the button calls after the low jack folds. So now I can decide whether to flat call out of position or raise it up, and I think deep stack I should raise. So I make it 350. The pre-flop raiser now tanks forever, and then like kind of gives away that he doesn't have a strong hand. I'm putting him on like ace queen or aces, something like that, and he finally calls, and then the button is like, wow, I didn't expect that. Okay, well, and then looks at both of our stacks and then decides to call also. So I'm like, okay, this is good. Building a pot. Turn is a 9 offsuit, and the pot is $1,200. I bet 700. Well, it's important to note that I have 1,600 in my stack, so I'm kind of like torn on whether I should overbet jam, but I don't want to lose single pairs here. I decide to bet 700, which is a little less than half my stack, leaving myself with 900 on the river. They both call the turn, and again the button acts like he has no choice but to call because he's pot committed to a drawing hand, and the only draw on the board is a flush draw. So the river comes a 5 of diamonds, and now the pot is 3,300, and I have 900 left. I have bottom set. And I'm trying to think of a hand that, like, I'm pretty sure the pre-flop raiser has like a top pair kind of hand, and I think if I jam, like, he might even find a fold also. He's never gonna bet if I check to him on the river. And then I also think the button is not too often gonna bluff the river for 700 when everyone seems to be pretty pot committed anyway. But I don't know. I like to check. PFR checks and the button jams, and now I'm just like getting a sick price, but I really can't think of a hand this guy's just gonna be willingly shipping his stack in with. He's not really like an active bluffy player. Like, he's been showing up with the goods most of the session, and just the way the action went, it just seems hard for me to believe he has anything besides a flush. Anyway, I ended up folding. Let us know what you think. That was a sick one to fold, but I think it saved me $900. I think it was a decent let go. Yeah, and then so later on, I asked the guy if he would tell me what he had. He said he's from out of town and was a pretty honest guy, so I believed him. And after the session, he told me he had king 9 of diamonds for the flush. So that did make me feel a lot better about it.
Nice. Yeah, sounds like a good fold.
So we head over to a 2-5 no limit game, and it's actually really, really good. You can buy in for 70% of the big stack at Chalk Top, and the big stack was like $8,000, so I just matched him. All of these hands have to do with the same guy. So he's very loose. He's in almost every pot. He's loud, really fun guy. Like, it was, I didn't want to play no limit, but it was fun playing with this guy. He's really cool. Really cool guy. Definitely splashing around there a little, making some questionable calls, so we definitely want to be involved with pots with him as much as possible. Pretty much knew that from the get-go, so that was our game plan heading into this session. So about an hour in, we get into 3 super interesting hands with the same guy. First hand, he opens up to 20. There's no straddle to this hand, which is kind of weird. This professional kid calls next to act, and we look down at queen 10 of diamonds, and we make it 85. We decided 3-bet here, kind of isolate this guy, play a larger pot in position with a very playable hand. We're really deep. I just think it's a good spot just to take the initiative and 3-bet him, isolate him, and play a big pot in position. So he is the only one that calls, and the pro folds, so great scenario. The flop, $200, is 9, 8, 4, 2 hearts. So the 9 and the 4 are hearts, and the 8 is a diamond. So we have a gutter, 2 overs, and a backdoor flush draw. Pretty great flop for us. This is a really good hand that we can turn into a bluff. We can make the nuts. We can make some hands that we can value bet thinly later. So really good spot to c-bet here. I down bet to 75, which is a pretty good strategy for in 3-bet pots on most board textures. I think on this board texture against this opponent, you could maybe size up a little bit, but I'm pretty much down betting my whole range. He calls, and the turn is an offsuit 7. So we're definitely gonna pretty much go with this hand. We block a 10. We don't block front door. We don't block front door hearts if that comes. We can wrap over pairs. This is just a great hand to go plan to go 3 barrels with. So that's our plan. We bet 275 into 350 on this card. I think we can definitely size up now, get him to fold parts of his weaker range and stuff like that. So we bet 275 and he calls. So the river is the 5 of hearts, and there is 900 in the pot now. He has about 1500 back, and I don't think this is a very good card for us to overbet. I think we should do more of a standard size bet. And I think that although I'd like to have a heart in my hand, I think this is still a really good candidate to triple barrel with, as I said before. So we decided to go with it, and we bet 650 into 900, which looking back, I think is a little too big. I think I would like to go more about 425 probably. Like this run out, I just don't think that we should be betting very big once it's a 1-liner to a 6. Lots of 2 pairs for him, and the flush comes in. So I don't think we should be betting big with a large portion of our range here on the river. So I think it's a slight mistake that I bet 650. I think we should have bet a little smaller. Well, he tanks and decides to fold, and he shows queen jack of spades. So he was going for, he had a gutter, but we got one through, I guess, on him. So the very next hand, he raises to 20 under the gun, and I call in the cutoff with jack 10 offsuit with the 10 of diamonds. So I don't think this is a super standard call that I'm not making against most opponents from their under gun range, but he's pretty much in every pot. I'm looking to get involved with pots with him, and I think it is definitely best to call here with this hand against this opponent. The button calls too. So we're 3-way to a flop, $60, and it is pretty nice. It is ace, king, queen with 2 diamonds. So the ace and the queen are diamonds. He bets for pot 60, and it comes over to us, and we're super deep here, and I can definitely get behind a raise, but I don't think that we have, this is just not a good flop for our range, and I think we should be calling here a large portion of the time rather than raising, and I don't want him to get scared off a hand that would bet himself or call in later streets. So I think a call here is best, and then to raise most turns. So we decide to call, and then the button folds. So the turn, there's 180 in the pot, and it pairs the king. It's an offsuit king. So we lose to some combos of boats now, but I think he just has a large portion of aces or even other hands that can call us here. Like he was calling us down almost with queen high the previous hand. So I've definitely seen him capable of calling even under pairs here. So he checks this time, and we decided to bet 100 just to make sure that we're getting called by all of his aces. He's probably calling his queens. He's probably continuing kings, so I don't think he has those. And yeah, I still think that we can get a lot of value out of his aces here. And I don't think there's a large chance that he checks the boat here, so I think we're definitely good. He calls pretty quickly, so I'm most likely putting him on an ace right now that will call a river bet. The river is $380, and it's an offsuit 6. Just a total blank, you know? So he checks quickly again, very confident that we have the best hand. We're just looking for a size that is gonna get us called. And against this opponent, against this previous hand, some previous history against him, I think an overbet is in order here. So we decide to put out a bet of 450. So the pot is 380 and we bet 450. I really like this sizing. I still like it. I think he's gonna call almost with all of his aces. We have a diamond in our hand, so it's less likely that he had some sort of flush draw. He could easily put us on diamonds. Yeah, I just think he's gonna call with aces here, and I think we should get the most value out of that. And any hand that he calls, we are winning. So we were very happy to see him toss in the call. We flip over our hand, and he flips over pocket sixes. So he rivered the boat on us and decided not to raise. Little unfortunate there, but that's totally fine. We're happy to have him call with sixes there. All right, and then we have one more hand against this opponent, probably maybe an orbit later, a couple minutes later. I think this is just an absolute super interesting hand, like one of the most interesting hands that I've ever played in No Limit. And I've been on this PLO binge lately, but after playing this hand, it kind of made me just love No Limit again and just the purity of the game, and just a really cool hand. I am probably gonna get some grief on this hand, and that's okay. I'm very happy with my play, but I would definitely like you guys' feedback, and I think I could maybe be convinced on this. It's definitely questionable, but anyway, let's get into it. There's 3 limps, and we're in the small blind with 2 red 9s. We decide to raise it to 75, and only the villain in the previous 2 hands calls. So great scenario again. The flop is $170, and it is 10-8-8 with 2 spades. We decided to check here, which I can get behind a bet against this specific guy. He's definitely calling with under pairs, ace high. I mean, maybe even just like all his gutters, even overs. I think we can still get a lot of value here, but I think he's also a guy that's gonna blast off a lot of the time. And our hand is really, really strong, I still think. So definitely against him. So we check, and right as we check, he snap bets 200. So he just snap bets pot. We're definitely calling here. We're not going anywhere yet. So we call, and then we're off to a turn, which is a total blank, an offsuit 3. Before we can even check, he snap bets 200. I mean, he snap bets 400, sorry. And we think about it a little again, and I think this is just a hand that we can't fold right now. Just way too strong. So we call again, and then the river is about $1,400, and it's an offsuit 7. And he just snap bets all in for $1,350 total. And so, wow, we are in quite the spot now. I don't think there's any question that we can fold on flop or turn, but on this river bet, there's definitely a chance that we can fold. We got to think about the hands that we can have here and think about which is the best hands to call against his range. I go into the tank, I'm like, you know, I look up at the ceiling, I'm like, dang, this is quite the spot. So we start kind of just going through the hands that we could have here. Which ones are going to be the best calls, which ones are going to be the best folds. And I was thinking, and we definitely have aces with the ace of spades, and I was trying to think if that is a better call than this hand, and I came to the conclusion that it wasn't. I didn't think that he was taking just a single 10 for all 3 streets of value like this, doing pot on every street. So I decided that that hand is worse to call with than 2 red 9s here. 2 red 9s blocks every combo of 8-9 suited, so he has just no combos of 8-9 suited. It also blocks the straight Jack 9. So with this conclusion, I think that red 9s definitely is better than aces with the ace of spades. Another reason for that is that 2 red 9s don't block any of his flush draws, and the aces with ace of spades does block those. And so with the assumption again that he's not doing this with a 10, I think that 9s is a much better call than aces. And I think that if we fold aces here, that we should definitely call with 2 red 9s. So we, after a little deliberation, we decided to call, and he flips over very confidently 10-9. So he took us to town there. Like, dang, what value there. So our assumption was wrong. Looking back on the hand now, I think that aces is definitely a better call if he's doing this with a 10. And just in game time, I just didn't think that he would go this thin with a 10. And I'm still happy with my call. I think that 2 red 9s is one of the best hands that we can call here and call down with all 3 streets. So I stand by my call, but I'm definitely interested to see what you guys think about it and see if you would have played this hand differently. Maybe bet on the flop and evaluate from there, or if you would have just check called down like I did. So definitely some feedback would be appreciated on this one. I know I'm probably gonna get some grief. I've got some grief from a couple close friends, but pretty much everyone I've talked extensively with this hand has kind of agreed that 2 red 9s is a call here. So super interesting hands. We'll talk to you guys later. Good luck us.
Yeah, Nick, you want to record that shout out?
Yeah. We can do it now, hold on. Are you already recording?
Yeah.
All right, shout out to Marky White, winner of our free roll on our PPPOKER app. If you guys want to play with us, then hit us up in the DM on Instagram and we'll get you signed up. Also, quick shout out to Junior Ferguson and Yeehaw Shaw for putting in the most hands this week. So, good work, guys. See you on the felt.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going